Hey, it's me, James, and I am here about to conduct the Oracle Outlook video reading for the week ahead. I am filming this reading on Sunday evening. It is May the 18th, 2025, so this will be for the week starting May the 19th, 2025. If this is your first time here, I'd like to say welcome, and if you're a returning viewer and visitor, I'd like to say welcome back. So once again, I'm going to be working with what we are calling the double-decker reading, and this was inspired by one of my regular viewers, Ismail. So Ismail, if you're tuning in this week, I'd like to say hello to you, giving you a shout out. He loves when I give him shout outs. So I'm giving him a shout out and saying thank you for being a source of inspiration and also for being a regular supporter of my work. So the deck on the left is going to be my deck, the Inner Wisdom Oracle. So this is an Oracle deck that I made last year. And so that is one deck. And the deck on the right is my newest tarot deck creation, the Mitchell Tarot. This is the AI edition. And I made this also last year. And so both decks are actually collaborations with AI. So the left is an Oracle deck and the right is a tarot deck. And so this was inspired by Ismail's request to mix two decks. So I've been mixing an Oracle card deck and a tarot deck for the last few weeks. And normally I would do a line of 5. So I've been doing double lines of 5s. But Ismail turned me on to a shortened version. So I'm going to be pulling 3 cards from each deck. So we're going to call this the double decker reading, the 3x3 variation. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and shuffle the cards. I'm going to start with my tarot deck. The tarot deck is going to be on the bottom row of 3 cards, and then the Oracle deck will be the top 3. So with the deck in hand, I'm going to shuffle the cards, and as I shuffle, when I do these weekly general readings, I always focus on the intention of asking in the cards for any insight, guidance, or advice that's going to be most helpful and beneficial as we move through the upcoming week. Another variation is I ask the cards to present a story that could potentially unfold over the course of the week. So we could get one, the other, or a mix of both. Alright, so now that I've shuffled the deck, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to fan the cards out. And I'm going to look for 3 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. So these are the 3 cards I've selected right there. I'm going to take the remainder of the deck up and we'll move that to one side. Alright, and so now I'm going to take the Inner Wisdom Oracle. I'm also going to shuffle that. One more time. Alright, and now the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. And once again, I'm looking for 3 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. Those are the 3 cards. I'm going to take the remainder of this deck up. Alright, and so now I'm just going to spread them out in the order that they were selected. So like I did last week when I worked with my angel card deck and this tarot deck, I'm going to allow the cards to represent the week ahead in this way. So going to read them vertically in columns, and the first column will represent what could unfold at the beginning of the week. Second column could be the middle of the week, and then the third and final column will be the end of the week. And so the way it works is that the oracle card could be a larger theme, and then the tarot card could ground it maybe with more insight, elaboration, or some guidance or directive. Okay, so that's how I'm choosing to look at that. So starting with the card on the top from the Inner Wisdom Oracle, we have one of my favorite cards in the deck. So the Inner Wisdom Oracle is actually, it's almost like a memoir or an autobiography in card form. And so with that in mind, the Cartomancy card is actually about the art, study, and practice of reading cards. And for those of you who know my backstory, you'll see in the image that a playing card is in the background. It is the Six of Hearts. So my claim to fame, actually my origin story, how I got into reading cards, is that I had a dream a long time ago about reading playing cards, and I had never done that in waking life. So I took that as an urging from the universe, if you will, to pick up reading playing cards. And so that's actually how I got started being a card reader. So the Six of Hearts for me in playing card cartomancy is actually a card that can represent study and enlightenment. So that is a possibility. So it could be either, if you are a card reader specifically, then this could be about your study and practice of reading cards. And it doesn't necessarily have to be playing cards. It could be any type of card deck or system, but it's really about, you know, studying that and really honing that as a practice or a craft, what have you. So that's one aspect of looking at it. The other could be that you are moving through some other form of study, right? In either way, the end result is you're moving towards a greater sense of enlightenment, because for me, again, the Six of Hearts can represent study and enlightenment. Now, it could also be that there is something having to do with a male presence. This card for me can represent masculine energy, so it typically can represent a male friend or a male relative, but I have widened that in general context to represent a male person. So there may be, for some people, a male who's playing a role, and maybe not necessarily a direct role because the card is in the background of the image. So somebody who could be playing an indirect role, or somebody who's on the periphery of a situation, but the person is either male or masculine presenting as well. Now, another thing that the Six of Hearts can highlight is that it could be talking about relationships. The Suit of Hearts is about relationships and how we choose to relate to other people. With that in mind, the 6 is a number of responsibility and communication. So it could be a need within a relationship context to have a heartfelt conversation, or that communication is an issue within an existing relationship that needs to be worked on. All right? And then the other thing would be a message about taking responsibility for your emotional reactions and responses to situations, experiences this week. And then a pun on responsibility is response-ability, your ability to react and respond to any given situation that shows up in your life experience. And then the last thing I will say about the Six of Hearts in the background is that the Six of Hearts is a card of a karmic relationship. So if you are a subscriber to the idea of karma, there may be a sense of karma playing out in one of your relationships this week. Now, the butterfly in the image is a symbol for me that can represent a change and transformation. So with that in mind, if I go back to the art and study and practice of cartomancy, reading cards, there may be something about your practice that is changing. right? There may be a transformative effect within your practice. So that could be, maybe picking up another system and studying that, but it has a transformative effect on your practice overall. Now, it could also be within the relationship context that I mentioned earlier. There is a significant change or shift taking place with the butterfly. So I'm getting the sense, because I'm hearing a song by Mariah Carey in my head called Butterfly Reprise. And the gist of that song is about spreading your wings and flying. So it's a metaphor for how you can transform, or how you are transformed in life through life situations and circumstances, right? But it could be saying too, like, you are transforming within a relationship context. It could be like seeking freedom and liberation, right? With the idea about spreading your wings. So I'm seeing that. So again, it could be there's some sort of change or transformation that is significant because the butterfly is imposed or on top of the Six of Hearts. And so that is the Cartomancy card. And so now the card underneath it, the tarot card, is... Okay, so here we have the Ten of Air. Okay, so now, if you are familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, this would be the Ten of Swords. And I went with a different image than the one in that system where there's a man lying face down with 10 swords sticking out of his back. I call that a freak out card, and so with this deck in mind, I work with clients offering readings to the public, and so I wanted to change the image for my deck, and this deck is specifically designed to be used in my professional reading practice. So with that, I went with the image of the crucifixion here, and so this card can suggest betrayal because the Ten of Swords, or the Ten of Air, is a card that can represent betrayal. And so it can suggest that there is going to be a dramatic ending to a situation, and it sets the stage for a new experience to take its place. So it could be like there is a significant chapter closing in your life, and it's setting the stage for the new or next chapter to open up. But in a relationship context, this might be dealing with issues around betrayal, and maybe a softer word around it could be trust issues within a relationship, or that there is some sense of karma, right? If we go with the idea that the crucifixion can also be about resurrection, right? So it could be a matter of, there is some aspect of the self or some aspect of your life that has to, quote unquote, be crucified, so that another aspect can be resurrected, or that the past is somehow being resurrected, but in a new and different way, right? And so I'm going to put the card down because it's reminding me of what I said about karma. So it could be that there is a situation for some people who are watching this video that is going to be coming up. You may have thought like the past was over and done with, but it is coming back up. So it can be either healed, hearts on the Six of Hearts is about healing, or that there is some sort of shift or transformation that the situation, the rising up of it again, is going to do for you. It's going to either liberate you, transform you, that kind of thing, and it's going to be very significant. Now, another thing with the Ten of Air, going back to this card being about relationships and communication and responsibility, sometimes for me this card can be about drama and melodrama. So I liken it to the soap opera The Young and the Restless, and meaning like we are allowing a production in life where we are maybe dealing with drama kings and queens to come to an end. We are closing that chapter in our lives because we have affirmed or declared that we no longer want drama. you know, I'm hearing the Mary J. Blige song in my head, No More Drama, right? Which has strands of The Young and the Restless, the theme of The Young and the Restless playing in it, yeah? So this card can be about no more melodrama. So again, here we have, with the Ten of Air, a significant chapter is being closed in your life. A door is being closed. And once that door is closed, it will not be reopened, right? There may be trust issues that are needing to be worked on or moved through. And then, of course, no more drama with drama kings and drama queens. So that's what I want to say about the Ten of Air. So now let's move on to the next card here, the Inner Wisdom card on the top. Here we have, oh my gosh, there's a theme going on here. So here we have life is a stage. And so the first thing that I will say is that, coming right off the heels of Ten of Air, this card is inspired by the song Take a Bow by Madonna. See, there's a lot of musical references going on this week. So this card is about like an aspect of your life coming to a close, again, because of the stage with the curtains being closed or drawn. It's like a curtain call, like the curtains coming down on the production. It's akin to the line in Take a Bow where Madonna sings, "The show is over, say goodbye," yeah? And so we have that similar energy with the Ten of Air, right? Remember I talked about drama and no more drama? It's the same thing here. So it's that. It's also a card that carries with it the understanding on a spiritual or metaphysical level that everyone who is in your life has a role or a part to play that is going to serve your growth and development. So that could be your personal growth and development, your psychological growth and development, or your spiritual growth and development. But everyone has a role or a part to play, right? And so then you get to decide how many people are either playing supporting roles, right? So they're playing supporting characters, or do they need to be quote unquote written out of your stage production, right? Because you are actually the director of your own stage production, right? So this card is about looking at things in that way, in terms of the roles that people are playing in your life, and also to the role that you are playing in your own life and the role that you play in other people's lives as well, right? So there's that. This card is also about performance. So there may be something having to do with performance-related issues this week, and so that could be in a number of areas. It could be how you show up and perform in your relationships. It could be how you show up and perform in your working life. It could be how you show up and perform in relationships, maybe familial relationships, personal relationships, but it's about how you show up. And also to the performance that you are showcasing to the world around you. That's the word I use. Now, the stage is also a pun for your being at a certain stage of growth and development, right? Now, it could also be that if you are planning something, and it may be involving other people, there may be a need to let things play out, right? So now this card, since it's a card from an aspect of my life, what happened was I had a vision about my relationship with my mother, and in that vision, I was shown this scene, right? A stage production. And the information that was being downloaded into me through this vision is that my life is a stage production and everybody has a role or a part to play in my unfolding story, right? So it was getting me to take a look at the time about the story that I was having about being a victim. I had a victim mentality story going on in my head, and this card was chiefly pointing out that story in my relationship with my mother. And so it showed me that in order to have that story validated, if you will, then other people agree to play certain parts so I can play out the story, right? And so it was no different from my mom. And it really, that vision really helped change the way I viewed my relationship with my mother, right? She was only playing a part that on some level I allowed her to play. And this comes back to the idea of maybe karma and karmic agreements, you know, that kind of thing. If you are very metaphysical, that's a very metaphysical idea or concept. But that's what these two cards are suggesting. So there may be something about exploring roles and the parts that we play in relationships, in our own stage production and in those of others, right? With the life as a stage. And with the understanding that it's going to serve your growth and development at the stage of life that you're in at this time, right? But again, with these two cards, life as a stage and 10 of air, there may be a need to end a significant chapter in your life, and there may be people who are in connection to that chapter, and so those relationships are going to be shifting and changing as well. So that's what I want to say about life as a stage. So now let's look at the card underneath it, and here we have, oh my gosh, here we have the Emperor. So remember what I said about you being the director of your own stage production? Yeah, the Emperor is all about being the boss, right? So this is the person who's in charge, who is in power, who has some level of control. If I go with the context that's being presented in the cards so far, then the Emperor can be about empowerment and self-empowerment, right? And I'm hearing a lot of music in my head this week. So this card, when I pull it, makes me think of the old Diana Ross song, "The Boss," right? So it could just be a matter of you. The cards are suggesting on some level, how can you take a look at your life and see where you are either consciously or unconsciously giving your power away. Emperor's about power. And how can you start reclaiming your power? It could also be, too, that this is a time to start seeking a greater sense of control over your life and maybe over life circumstances, that kind of thing. And with that, the Emperor card can be about structure, order, being disciplined. So where might you apply or need to apply some more order in your life, some more structure in your life, some greater sense of discipline, right? Now, I don't want to forget what I came back to here, what I started here. If you are a cartomancer and you have a practice, then maybe one of the ways in terms of your study of the practice is to create a greater sense of structure and being disciplined enough to work with the cards on a regular basis. Now, this is just me. You know, my experience with the cards is I look at them as I'm forming a relationship with them, right? And so it's just like having a relationship with a person. It requires communication, regular communication and interaction, yeah? And you have to work at that. And, you know, also having the discipline to stick with the practice, right? So for those cartomancers out there who are working on your practice, it could be about laying the foundation, building on your foundation, but it's also creating the structure, the order, and the discipline to be engaged with your particular system of divination, yeah? But also, too, it's about seeing how you can regain power from other people who are having a dramatic presence in your life, right? It's like those people are stealing the show, right? Stealing the scenery, right? We have in productions like TV shows and movies, those characters who are like supporting characters, but somehow they steal the show, yeah? So who in your life could be stealing your show, stealing the scene, right? And then how can you come back to understanding that by you reclaiming power, you gain a greater sense of control over your own life experience, your life story, your journey, things like that. Now, these two cards, too, from a career standpoint, could be about work performance. Remember I said this is about performance, life is stage. And then for those who may be contemplating moving up the ladder, because the Emperor is a card that suggests being in a position of authority, right? So For certain people, they may be needing to reflect on, the card is above the Emperor, meaning above his head. So reflecting on, thinking on your work performance and how it might serve you in terms of moving up the ladder. Or do you need to do something that's going to improve it, right? And maybe increase your chances of getting that promotion. Okay, so that's what I want to say about the cards on the table so far. So now let's take a look at the last card from the Inner Wisdom Oracle for this week. And we have, oh my gosh, one of my favorite cards. So this is the Archangel Metatron card. And so if you are no stranger to my videos, then you may remember that I have a great deal of affinity for Archangel Metatron. So Archangel Metatron, I believe, has been an active angelic presence in my life. So this card can be about your guides and your angels and working with those beings, those forces, those energies. Now in the context, I'm going to put the card down, in the context of where I've been talking about shifts and changes in your relationships, for those who resonate with that, then the Archangel Metatron card is about clearing your energetic field. So there's a sense of clearing this week for some people, right? So you may be working on liberating yourself from certain relationships. That could be a sense of clearing, right? Now if we talk about with the Cartomancy card, if I mirror these two cards, and the Cartomancy card is about study and enlightenment, then the Archangel Metatron card is about the study of esoteric material. Yeah, so this could be things like sacred geometry. It could be the Akashic Records, studying that. And with that in mind, then the Archangel Metatron is also a card about record keeping, because Archangel Metatron is the scribe, the recording angel, right? Said to record events. So this could be about, like, if you're studying something, it's about documentation, recording what you're doing. So if in the sense of cartomancy, this card, excuse me, could be talking about recording your readings, finding some way to document them, so you have something to return to, right? Now, Metatron is also a card that can be talking about a shift in priorities. This is a priorities card for me. So it could be like at this stage in your life, life is a stage. At this stage in your life, there may be a shift in your priorities, and that's a nice way of saying, what do you value at this stage in your life? And how can your life be more of a reflection of that? So now the last thing about Metatron I will say. So now this is more esoteric again. This is a card for me that talks about dreams in a way, because I had a very significant dream with Archangel Metatron. In the dream, I was having a conversation with Archangel Metatron. And I was so excited in the dream to be talking with Archangel Metatron that I literally woke myself up from the dream. And I sat up in bed and I shouted Archangel Metatron's name. I said, Metatron. And when I looked at the clock, it was 4:44 a.m. So if you are no stranger to angel numbers, you will know that it is said in some circles, the number 444 is an angel number that says the angels are surrounding you. The more fours that are in the string of the number means that there are more angels surrounding you. So I took that as a sign, a validation of the experience. Now here's the rub though for me. I couldn't remember a thing that Archangel Metatron said on a conscious level. So the conversation that I had with Metatron has remained buried in my subconscious awareness, right? Because I haven't remembered it to this day. But looking at the clock next to my bed at the time that I had the dream, to me served as validation that I wasn't making it up. It wasn't in my head. It was a thing for me. So now this is what we call in spiritual circles a UPG, which is unverified personal gnosis. No one else in the room with me when I had this experience. So people maybe listening to this and taking it with a grain of salt, and that is perfectly fine. I know for me, it was a valid experience, and I'm not trying to convince anyone of its legitimacy, right, or its veracity. I know for me that was a significant experience. So all that to say, so going back to that as a situational experience with a takeaway, it could be that the message of this card is asking you to pay attention to signs and synchronicities that show up this week. Right? You may experience a specific sign or synchronicity that gets your attention, especially if it is on some level repetitive. Right? And then the last thing I will say about the Archangel Metatron card, this card can come up around time and time management. So it could just be a matter of, and this goes back to the priorities thing. So like if there is an intention that you are setting towards getting something accomplished, something completed in your life, 10 of air, completion, right? A life is a stage, completion. Then it could be a matter of you asking yourself, how much is it a priority to get this task completed, accomplished, right? And then you could make sure that your actions are in alignment with the intention of getting that accomplished, right? So again, the Archangel Metatron card is about connecting with your guides and your angels. It could be about actually working more closely with Metatron if that resonates with you. It could be about the story of studying more esoteric material, content, making a point to record events, significant events as they unfold in your life. And then also to the idea of clearing, right? I want to end where I started. So the first thing I said was about clearing your energetic field. So it could be about what do you need to clear, either clear up or clear out in your life, yeah? And if you work with angels, you could also call on the energy of Archangel Metatron to assist you. So that's what I want to say about the Archangel Metatron card. And so underneath it, we have, rounding the reading up, we have Page of Fire. And so I'm going to draw another card. And so the pages in tarot represent news and messages, yeah? So when I pull a page, I usually draw another card to kind of give me a better idea of what the message is. And it's funny because I was using this deck in a reading with a client earlier today, and for some reason this card did not show up in her reading, but it was in my mind. And so I was thinking about the image of a podcaster. So this is what the Page of Fire image is. And so if you are working with a more traditional deck, this would be akin to the Page of Wands or the Page of Rods or the Page of Batons, depending on the deck or the system that you are working with, right? So with that in mind, for me, this card can be news and messages of a social or a public nature, meaning that it reaches the masses, just like a podcaster airs his or her content, reaching an audience. It's, more than one person. So this could be, with the Metatron card about recording events. So there may be something here having to do with reporters or journalists or podcasters, anything that is being recorded in some shape, form, or fashion, and it's designed to present a particular message or some news that is geared towards a larger audience. So now, for some people, if this card is about work and work performance, it could be you are actually maybe in the entertainment field and you are seeking to reach a wider audience, just like a podcaster would, right? Something that you are working on is designed to reach a wider audience, to reach more people, right? And then also, too, I'm looking at here, so the challenge would be, maybe working on your own, the Emperor. And also another challenge is the crucifixion that happens when you put yourself out there in the public space more. Yeah? We live in a day and age where people like to lift people up and put people on pedestals and then, at some point, tear them back down. Right? So there may be something going on with that. For some people, like if you're going to put yourself out there more, just remember that you are not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Not everybody's going to like the messages that you are putting out there. Not everybody's going to be attracted or respond to the messages that you're putting out there. And just know that you are not going to resonate with everyone 100% of the time. Yeah? So there is that. Now, if you are starting a new chapter in life, then this card, Page of Fire, is about being eager and enthusiastic about this new chapter and moving into that. Now, for some people, I talked about this idea of, considering moving into management, like moving up the ladder or, that kind of thing, or exploring a different position. The Page of Fire would support that. Right? And then the idea here, this card, Page of Fire, knights to cartomancy, and we have the butterfly, remember, which I said was about spreading your wings and flying, and I used the word freedom. This card can also be about liberation. So there may be something, being eager and enthusiastic about moving into a new stage or chapter of your life that is freeing you up, or just freeing you, period, and liberating you in some shape, form, or fashion, right? It's almost like it's giving you a new lease on life, if you will, right? So there is that. And then the last thing I will say here before I pull the next card is that the Metatron card and this card can be, again, about recording events and being mindful of the signs and synchronicities, that are repetitive. Right? There is a message in a sign or a synchronicity, especially if it repeats. Right? Now, I thought I was done. So I had a lot of musical references, and it is not lost on me that the Page of Fire has a set of headphones on. Right? So this could be about either two things, either being tuned in, right? Tuned in a way that you see, meaning like you notice. There is a certain level of perception when it comes to those signs and synchronicities when they show up, right? So that's being tuned in, or a need to tune certain people out. And that reminds me of what I said about the drama kings and queens, right? Tuning them out, right? Because when you have headphones on, you can hear certain messages, certain programming, certain things, and then you don't hear other things because they are not a part of that programming that's going directly into your ears, right? So it could be like being tuned in on some level and also being willing to tune other voices or material out. Okay, so now let's go ahead and draw another card to kind of round this reading out. So I have the tarot deck in hand. So you may not be able to see it, but that sound you hear is me shuffling the cards one more time. And I'm just asking, the intention here is to ask the cards to provide me some additional information about the message of the Page of Fire. So I've done that. I'm going to go ahead and now fan the cards out. You may see it above the cards a little bit there. So now I'm looking for the message card, and I'm going to draw this card here. What I'm going to do is place it right there. I'm going to take the remainder of the deck up once more. I'm going to move that. And so now let's see what the message card is. And here we have, okay, the Eight of Air. Okay, so here we have a challenging card. So now this card can be about, now very interesting, so this is in direct contrast to all those messages about liberation, right? So it could be about being willing to see, right? She's got a blindfold on in the image. Being willing to see where you are keeping yourself stuck. This is about limitation and restriction, right? And so it could be the ways that you keep yourself stuck. Now the Eight of Air is akin to the Eight of Swords in the RWS or other tarot decks. And so Swords has to do with mental activity and the mind. So this could be about ways of thought, ways of thinking, mindset, consciousness, things like that. But looking at the ways that we keep ourselves stuck. Now self-imposed could be like, I'm doing it to myself on some level, in my head, with my thinking. Right? And then this can also be about interference. And so this could be about how people may be playing a part in keeping you limited and restricted. Right? and that would be a form of interference. Now, the thing that's coming to me in the moment is that there may be some news or message regarding people who are either incarcerated, so this could be people who are in the prison system, or making me think like people who are being held in detention, right? People who are being detained, right? So there may be something more about that. We have not heard about the gentleman, the Garcia gentleman, who's being detained. So there may be something this week about that and where that is going in terms of its development. So there may be news about that, or other people in some form of incarceration or detention. And then the final thing I will say about this card is that the Eight of Air can be a card that asks you to take a look at the ways that you are getting caught up, wrapped up, tied up in situations that are not of your making. Right? And that goes back to, again, people who are showing up in your life with lots of drama and maybe trying to get you caught up, wrapped up in their experiences. And this could be the time where you take a good look at how involved do you want to be in those particular situations if you're not directly involved already. Right? So this could just be a matter of taking a look at your level of involvement. Do you want to get tied up? Do you want to get caught up? Do you want to get wrapped up in other people's drama? Right? And then another message is coming through. I thought I was done, but I'll end on this one. Another message is coming through with Metatron. Remember, I said Metatron was about time management, right? So it could just be a matter of these three cards are saying taking a look at your schedule and seeing where you can free yourself up, right? Because this card can be about obligations, the Eight of Air. You know, saying things like, oh, I would love to help you, but my hands are tied, or, you know, I'm tied up. That kind of thing, how we use those metaphors to say that we're really busy. So there may be something going on with that. And so, again, it could be, do you want to free yourself up in some way schedule-wise to assist other people? Or is it maybe in your best interest that the universe has orchestrated you being, quote-unquote, tied up, right? And it could also be, too, with that idea, like, my hands are tied. It's an expression to say, like, maybe that you are not meant to take any kind of action or activity in a certain situation or experience. You know, it's a metaphor. There's nothing you can do. It can represent inaction or inactivity, right? When we say that, you know, my hands are tied. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to wrap up this week's Oracle Outlook. This is James Himm Mitchell. And if you've made it to this part of the video, this point in the video with me, I want to thank you for giving me the gift of your time. I do so greatly appreciate it. And so once again, we were working with the Inner Wisdom Oracle and the Mitchell Tarot, the AI edition. So the Mitchell Tarot is available in my Make Playing Cards Marketplace site, so I will leave a link to it in the description box below if you fancy it, if it strikes your interest. I've had some people purchase the decks already, and so I want to say thank you to those people who found the deck interesting enough to add it to their collection. So again, James Himm Mitchell signing out. I'm wishing you a great day. I'm wishing you a great week, and I will be right here in this space for the next Oracle Outlook video reading. So until then, take care.